just want to clarify something that my whole YouTube and X page, well, I'll make these videos on YouTube and then repost them on X. And I'm doing a lot of them, and then they're also repetitious. I cover certain things almost every talk, just to remind people the context of what I'm talking about. But it's set up, coded, and it's set up to where you have to do work. Meaning like you'd have to spend hours and days slowly going through the stuff, and even listening to stuff as a mantra-esque meditation. I read the same Rudolf Steiner stuff all the time, and he re-articulates things the same way, and I just keep reading it over and over again. And so what this is about here is I choose one tag. Someone mentioned that I should use more tags, get more views. No, my YouTube page should be like 10 views, 30 views. It should remain there. Like, I don't expect to get any above 50. I mean, a couple of them have like 100 or 80 accidentally. And then the X, yeah, you're going to get more on X. But the reason why I chose X is because I at first was disappointed with the junk I was getting. I was getting a lot of extreme right-wing stuff, a lot of racist. When someone set themselves on fire in the subway, I think it was like a year or two ago, I was getting bombarded with that. And I actually calibrated my X page to where now I only get stuff that I find agreeable. I haven't seen, it took a long time of just blocking people and muting and blocking, but I've actually got it calibrated, so I basically just see animal clips. The only thing I have to worry about is making sure there's no AI rendering in those clips. So yeah, I title one tag spirituality, or I might tag it anti-AI life. Sometimes I'll do two, spirituality and anti-AI, but mainly one tag. And as I've said before, these clips exist because certain people are going to gravitate towards it. And it all takes is a little push from a spiritual teacher to get someone's potential going, someone's awakening happening to their possible role in ascension. And I argue that there are all kinds of students out there. But to be a teacher, you have to be willing to have your life destroyed, your bank account hacked, your life taken. And you also have to look at entities, including one of them, which would be an articulation of the most disturbing things that you could think of. That's the kind of stuff you have to do. There's not scary pyramid initiation anymore, but there is some things where you're going to have to make sure you can handle extreme visual phenomenon as well as psychic phenomenon. So back to the hospice work, you can sit around and watch stuff like Joe Rogan and sit in I'm sorry to say this term, but you can sit in a circle jerk with the disclosure panels, the military guys, Dr. Greer, all those type of people contacting the desert, sitting out trying to contact, which would automatically be 5D entities. And anybody that goes beyond that will be detected and they'll be harassed. And then the DS will send in holograms and fake phenomenon to make sure that you gear back towards 5D. Everything is to keep you channeling beings that prevent the planet from smooth ascension. Smooth ascension would take away the problem of evil, and the problem of evil is taken away. We could take back our consciousness and suss out, block out any invasive elements. Just put it like that. So, hospice work. This is how you see and connect with your guides. This is the key to ascension. Volunteer work. But I'm getting back to hospice work because I was talking about that. I think a good thing for me to talk about is to talk about what I was scared of and what bothered me at first and mistakes I made in hospice so that other people won't make those mistakes. And even though I have no problem standing in front of a large crowd, I can get in front of 100,000 people right now, no problem. I can do a broadcast where it's broadcast to millions of people, no problem. But meeting these patients initially, there was always some element of becoming nervous until I began to like it. It was military-like. I had to force myself to go in there. And again, I knew I had to go engage in hospice work because I had seen angelic phenomenon, and I'm so grateful and so privileged to be able to have that connection that the best thing I can think of to do to honor and positive entities would be to help dying people. And it is the guaranteed way to begin to connect with your guides, and you want to try to do everything you can. Here's how it works. Once you see phenomena and see something undeniable, or link up with a real spiritual person and they can show you something, the reaction you should have is wait a minute, what am I doing here? Life is a blink of an eye. Aging is really fast. Wait a minute. And then you start serving others, and you realize that the satisfaction you get from that is now replacing neurological stimulation gratification phenomena. And then you will want to get gratification, not in a codependent way, because codependency is also a disease, meaning like you absolutely have to be taking care of someone, and to the point where you take care of them and focus on them more than yourself. Well, that's a disease. But you'll start to want to help others, for example, on a Saturday morning, instead of doing what you would normally do on a Saturday. And when you're done with it, there is a feeling of relief, similar to finishing a workout. Like when I leave hospice, there is a wonderful, this is a bad comparison, almost like MDMA feeling. And so let's go back to the hospice real quick. Inside the hospice, how can you start to have fun? One of the last clips I talked about how I was trying too hard with one of the main guys I was with, veteran, advanced dementia, used to be a farmer. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give away, in case someone sees this and recognizes me, I don't want to be giving away personal information. But I was struggling at first, and there was a moment. I didn't even know he could say full sentences for almost a couple months. And sometimes I almost felt like he felt a little uncomfortable around me, honestly. I didn't know what I was doing. I was talking too much. Imagine that. Imagine me talking too much. And silence, and just sitting next to somebody, just sitting there with them without even speaking, is one of the best things you can do, because you're bringing yourself down to their level. And I found out that this guy not only could talk, but he could stay in focus to some degree in a conversation. Now, would this happen easier with a family member? Yeah, it would, because his electrochemical activity in his brain mixed with the spiritual activity would have a boost. Like, I always think about people who are going through dementia as like a car, like an old car battery or something that needs a jump start, and you can jump start them with stimulants. And I found out with this one guy that if you use farm animals, because he was a farmer, tractor stuff, he would all of a sudden snap back into this consciousness where we could somehow title it as being aware. And it got funny. One time I was like, I wonder if I show him a PG rated like swimsuit picture of like a female in a military swimsuit. Nothing, no nudity. And he liked that. He goes, wow, I'd like to date her. And and that was like one of the first sentences I heard him say. I'm like, wait a minute. He can say that? He can talk? And then I, show him a picture of a horse or something, or a tractor. Wow, that's a big one there. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm getting somewhere. He's aware. He knows what I'm showing him. Electrical chemical activity is moving around. Hopefully some of the spirit energy is becoming activated, and the waves are mingling. And it can become a fun experience, and where you can actually laugh. Hold on a second.